Check, check. Check, check. Mic 1, 2. Hello, hello.
It's working. It's working.
Yeah, yes, yes. All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Bendito Show. This is episode 10. Wow, already.
Yeah.
Episode 10. And we are happy to be back. We weren't online on Monday, but we are back here today. We got a lot of exciting things to talk about tonight. A lot of exciting things coming up soon as well. We got a guest speaker lined up for Monday for one of our nice subjects to come. But Abraham, how you been doing, man?
We got a guest arguer because we're gonna argue. We're gonna argue this thing on Monday. I've been
That's
good. I
right.
mean, the Easter weekend was good. It was nice. The weather wasn't bad. The weather was good
Mm.
today. I've been playing football, baseball, and stuff with the kids,
Oh,
trying
nice.
to, trying to shake off some of that winter
Mm.
hibernation
Yeah,
grease.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
um, we gotta get on that. But I mean, we got a good one today. We're gonna talk about COVID and the impact and
Listen,
the
man. I
effects.
mean, I wanted to talk about my weekend. I wanted to talk about I had plans for Monday and Tuesday, which didn't
Mm,
come to fruition because of the topic of today. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But other than that, you know what? It was a nice, beautiful day today. It was a nice, beautiful day on Monday. Summer's clearly
very
on its
nice.
way back,
Yeah.
and so it's like we're living in a different country. Like already, the days are longer. You get to go outside, run. I mean, I'm loving it. I mean, I love Canada when it gets into this kind of weather, so I can't complain in that regard.
I'm not complaining either, bro. I enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we got some people tuning in already. Thank you for those dropping in the comments. Chris, Eddie Fernandez, Amin. God bless y'all. We got some people watching us as well. Drop us a comment to let us know where you guys are watching from. And if you haven't yet, man, y'all got to follow us on Instagram at The Bendito Show. We are dropping some interesting stuff. And I think we can start there today because on our channel, what you'll see is we're starting to kind of share what's in the news. And everything that we do, y'all remember, we always say is from the Christian perspective. And so
That's
we
right.
were sharing some information this past weekend of
Yeah, yeah,
things that
yeah,
are
yeah.
happening, and so you definitely should be following us there on Instagram. And so one of the big things was around music this past weekend. Sure, it was Semana Santa, it was Easter, very important holiday for Christians, very important event to
For
remember.
everybody.
But it looks like certain artists, took advantage of the dates and they decided to release some of their music, right? One of them
Everybody
being,
was saved.
yeah,
Everybody was saved on Good Friday.
yeah, that's what
Everybody
it
was
sounds
saved for
like.
Easter.
That's what it looked like. And so this was the first one that caught my attention, right? We got this famous secular artist, Latin artist, Farruko. Maybe some of you guys know him, but he's, he raps on reggaeton, dembow. That's his kind of rhythm. And he released a song on Friday, so Good Friday, basically about his emptiness without Jesus. Honestly, when
Mm.
I heard it right away, I was like, "Wow, this is a great song." That like my first reaction was, "This is everything that the word tells us about living a life without Jesus." Like that was it was like straightforward for me.
I don't know if he wrote it or he has writers. I
Yeah,
don't know if he wrote it or he has writers. But the
yeah,
song, the lyrics in the song, check out. They check
yeah,
out.
yeah. Like for me, it was like I was reading. What's it worth to gain the whole world and lose your soul? That was basically what the song was about. So I loved it. I loved it. So we threw it out there in the news, and I saw some people reacting and so forth. Now, after Good Friday, that's where I think I kind of went a little bit like, what's going on here? What's happening? Because I mean, I'm
I
not gonna
told
go ahead and
I posted I've always said this. I'm always gonna say this. Secular artists can't sing gospel. I don't care how you record it. Like I know Bono has recorded some gospel. Like I know there's a lot of artists. Even R. Kelly has recorded some gospel.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
secular artists cannot record gospel. It's the gospel is power unto those who believe.
yeah,
You can record gospel. You
yeah.
can record music and call it something, but you can't record gospel. You're a secular artist. Stick to yourself. Leave our stuff alone. Why you
Yeah,
want to come over, get our content, our people,
you
to
know this
confuse our people?
that's where it becomes tricky, because we want to see it, right? We want to see anybody in the world come to Jesus and then use their gifts and stuff, and so we're trying to show some grace and mercy. Like, one thing that I'm always
Yeah, but you
kind of
can't get saved today and record a secular album tomorrow.
Hey,
You gotta bring
I'm
some
not gonna
fruit.
say you can't. I'm not gonna say you can't because God word.
Nah,
Hey,
you can't. Not even Paul. Listen, Paul is the best example. I know some people say, "Oh, Paul,
he ain't
whatever."
the only one
Paul,
though.
hey, Paul spent months, maybe not 2 years or something, in Saudi Arabia, training.
Persecuted. Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's like you can't just come out and record something. I know. I mean, saying Juan
Yeah,
Luis
Juan Luis
Guerra.
Guerra,
I
that's
know.
another example. People, I
Listen,
remember when Juan Luis started releasing his, Christian music, people were really against it because here's this romantic, secular artist in the world. He has a story where he came to know Jesus, but
but
even today,
Juan Luis had been saved for a while before he released the album because he doesn't record albums from his
yeah,
albums are
yeah, yeah,
quality. He had been saved for a while before he released his albums, and he came out, gave his testimony, preached, got baptized, everything, and
yeah,
then for him it wasn't. I think it's just about Christian money. They're
yeah.
trying to get some of that Christian money. That's what it is.
Look, that could be the case. My like, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I listen to an album, I listen to a track, and I try to appreciate where they're coming from because it's an artist. There's a lot of creativity going involved with it. Now,
Yeah, I hear you.
when us Christians, when we cling on, because this happens sometimes. I know what happened with Kanye. When Kanye came to the Christians, like, oh my gosh, like, all these Christians got so super
I remember
excited
we had that
and
argument.
happy,
We had
like,
that argument. I Yeah.
and it was just like, should Christians really care so much about this? I don't know. But here, this is my last comment on Faruko. Man, if you go on his Instagram page, he literally posted
Today.
another track, literally like the next day. And I can't even show you guys the lyrics. That's how terrible it is. Like, I thought about sharing the screen and sharing it, but it's that bad. It's so filled with lust. It's so filled with addictions. And it's like literally marketing that. So, when that happens, you lose me right away. Like, why are you releasing these kind of music about Jesus? If you really were, a Jesus follower, he wouldn't be up for these other things. Now, another person who came up, for all the
Never
believers out
happened.
there, JB,
Oh God.
Justin Bieber, you know, the only one, the Canadian one. This guy, he released not a track, but he released a full album called Freedom. And again, this one was really just all about the gospel. Like that this was his
Yep.
album, his gospel album.
I mean,
Uh,
for him, I feel different because he's been proclaiming to be saved for a while,
he has.
and he's been baptized, and he's a member of the Hillsong Church. Even though his pastor was in the news for a
Woo!
scandal the other day,
Yes,
so
yes.
but that's not him. Like the pastor's not him.
It's not him.
He is not him. So I haven't listened to the album, and I haven't been following his life or his testimony because I don't care if he's preaching
So
Jesus, okay, but
how
I
do you
mean,
feel? How do you feel that one of his songs is explicit in the sense that there's some cussing
in his gospel album.
in his gospel album? Yeah, this is so there's one song
Listen,
there's one song on there where he literally prays for everybody in the whole world, and it's the
Paul,
exact same
Paul,
track
Paul,
where he instead of saying crap, instead of saying doodle, he used the other word. Now listen. We had this discussion. If you guys haven't watched our video yet, you go to our YouTube channel. We have it there. We had a conversation about cussing. For me, I have to be honest, it doesn't damage so much the effort that he put forward because I'm trying to understand him in his context. Like, I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. And he's really just trying to come off as being upset at the world. Like, this is all the crap the world has to show. He's also, although he's confessed, and, he's publicly said, Jesus is Lord and Savior, he's still basically a baby in the faith. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to judge him. I'm not trying to go too hard on him, but you got to go check it out, Abraham. You got to
the
give us your
problem is,
thoughts.
the problem is that these people they're important to society. So when they get
They are.
saved and they proclaim Jesus, they're influencers. Let's call them that. They influence
Yeah.
what other young people think. So now he gets saved and he puts this in his thing. Now it's all okay. Maybe he said, "Oh, Jesus turned over the tables" or whatever. The Bible doesn't say Jesus was cussing. So now it's all okay for him to record this thing, with cussing in it. Like you're gonna lose the people that actually want to follow Christ, and then you're going to generate this amount of followers that are not really followers. They're just
Yeah.
fanatics or something. And we have that as a topic, follower or fanatic. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you can be both of Jesus Christ, but he's influencing these people with his message. So he's causing other people to sin with his message, which is worse actually than just him sinning by himself.
I think we can go back on that. I don't think in that track he's causing people to sin. It could be, but I don't think I would come out and say that. I think for Christians listening to Justin Bieber, we should have grace and mercy and be like, listen, we know that this guy shouldn't be what we should strive for. Like that's my thing. When we see secular artists come, to the Christian world, I honestly I don't want you promoting these guys as so much because I'd rather you promote the Christian ones who've been grinding hard every single
And
day
that's
and
what I'm
like
saying.
going at it. So sometimes that's where it kind of gets me, you know.
As soon as somebody gets saved, a secular artist gets saved, they release an album, they release a movie or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody's rushing to go watch it. Like,
Well,
why you rushing for? Oh, look at this. This one's
okay.
special.
So
Okay, this one.
you tell us,
Let
Abraham,
me
about
talk
this
about
one.
this one. Let me talk about this one. Let me talk about
What
this.
are we
So,
looking at here on the screen?
okay, so this one is a song by Redimido, Alex Zurdo, and Funky. They recorded this album together, and they premiered this video today. Right? The rest, I must say, there's another song. There's a couple of songs in the album that are okay, but in this song, they have this girl that's apparently from Un Corazon, which is another group, and she's singing to God, right? And basically what she's saying is, I want to correspond to your love, like quiero corresponder a tu amor and whatever. But the way she's touching herself and whatever as she's singing it is sensual. You can't
Ay.
sensualize God. You cannot do eso es del diablo, redimido, funky, all of them, they saw it. Ustedes tienen que arrepentirse por
Ah,
esa diablura.
wow,
That's
wow.
you can't sensualize God. How are you gonna speak to God in a sexual way? You crazy? Padre, no lo mate.
No,
Let me see, like you. This is the utmost
look,
blasphemy. You
look.
cannot touch your face and your mom be like this. You cannot do that.
Oh,
The
bro.
Lord is holy,
Oh,
and
man.
everything in God is holy. This is
Look,
something I don't stand for.
look,
No grace.
folks.
No
This
grace.
is this is the topic next Monday. We're gonna be talking about church culture because I think this relates strongly to that. Because brother, I'm not on that side. I don't see
You
that.
saw it. Play the video. Play the video. Let
I'll
people
play
see
the
it. Let
video
people see
again.
it.
I'll play it
Play
again.
the video. Play it
But
from that part.
look, and again, this is another one that I think is related to that dancing, the culture, the way they're making the kind of the
Look,
music
look, look,
videos
look, look,
nowadays.
look at that. She touching her mouth. See how she touching her mouth?
Hey, nah, man, nah,
Man,
that's an extreme.
that's something you do before you do something else.
Nah, now listen, if she wasn't wearing barely any clothes, if she was shaking her
No,
butt
no,
out
no, no.
there, if
And
she
that's the
was,
problem.
you
Listen,
know,
listen. Your father, the pastor, wrote a book. The devil comes in a
yeah,
suit and tie,
mm,
right?
yeah,
The devil comes in a suit and tie. Okay, so look how she's rubbing her lips, saying, "I want to." You know what phrase she uses at that? She says, "I want to correspond with your
yo,
love."
what do
This
you
is
guys
what she
think, bro?
said.
You guys agree with Abraham's take on this? I'm a disagree. I think is it a little bit
It's
weird, kind of what's going
Put
on
the
in the video?
no, put the
It
audio.
is.
Like the audio would when you see that, like you can't really put the audio on, and you'll see. Like Carlos is saying, that's not sensual, but put the audio on. Put the audio on, and you'll
uh,
see. Like
I
this
don't,
is something we have to talk about.
hold on. I don't think I got the audio plugged in just yet.
Okay, but okay, if you guys go look it up, look up the audio and look at it. Starts at about around a minute when she starts caressing and talking about I want to correspond to your love. And listen, you guys might say that is not sensual. To me, it is. I'm just saying this is my there. No, no, go back. Go back. There, start from there. Look at that. That's
Nah,
crazy.
nah. You
Bro,
lost me. You lost me on that one, brother.
that's sensual,
Uh-uh.
bro.
Look, we got
It's
we
hey,
got we got we got we got a 9 to 9 music track, brand new track. I believe it's coming out soon, y'all. It's in the works.
that's the
Stay
one we need to
tuned.
listen to.
Stay tuned. And I think that's the kind of stuff. Yeah, but hey, I'm excited because you know what? Everybody who saw 9 to 9 this past year, we all saw that we put a lot of emphasis in our video quality and so forth. So I see us making a music video.
Listen,
And I don't know. I don't know if I can get Abraham to direct
make,
that video. It's gonna be
well, no,
everybody in a suit and tie.
you're not gonna want to know. Like people say, okay, everybody disagree. Like okay, Amaris agrees with me. Amaris agrees with me. Amin is saying she had an itch. She had no itch. That's on
like,
purpose.
like someone
She,
says from a
you
woman's
know,
perspective, like, I don't think that's sensual. I'm with you on that one too. I don't know, but this is why we got different
that
perspectives on the show.
let's get other perspective. Like I get it. Other people have different opinion, but to me, that is sensual. Like it's not like fully like she whining or something like that. But like she's close. Like the next thing will be somebody shaking the him, moviendo cintura, dando golpes de cintura ahí like Shakira and Jennifer Lopez.
Nah, I
Like,
think that's far from it, man. I think that's far.
bro,
And you
look,
know what, guys? We're gonna talk about it on Monday
guys,
because
listen. When
I think this
you
is the disconnect between the church culture. Like we have
y'all
the new
y'all got me pulling
generation,
out my tortillita here. Listen,
we have an old generation, and there's a clash in that. And I don't think there's enough grace and mercy, for us to be like, yo, where are you
you
coming
can't
from?
sensualize that. That's sensual. That's sensual, bro.
I don't
I
know.
get it.
Nah,
Okay? You think it's not. I think it is, and then that's the clash. But we'll talk about this more on Monday. We'll
we
probably
will.
bring it up. Let's see
We'll
what our
have to.
special
We'll have
guest
to.
thinks. But you guys go watch the video and listen to what she's saying as she's moving. Like, it's totally sensual, completely
Look, this was the
sensual.
last thing I want to bring up in the news. I was gonna post it on Instagram, but we got carried away with all these other music topics. Is this topic here, and I think it's gonna be a good segue for us moving into our topic
Yeah,
of the day with COVID-19. I just want to kind of read the headline here. It says France. Social media reacts to bill aiming to ban hijab for minors. So basically, what's going on in France? There's a bill that basically, if you are 18 or below, as a woman, as a younger, you can't wear a hijab, right? That's kind of what they're
that's
kind of going
crazy.
through. And so this is where, I wonder, how do Christians react to this, right? Because this is Islam, it's Muslims, we believe that our God is the real God. But this is the clash that we have sometimes between the state and religion. How do we
Right, right,
feel
right,
about
right,
this?
right.
Like, do we support this as Christians? Are we saying, you know what, at the end of the day, if the government can say to all these young girls, don't wear the hijab because you're under 18, and it forces you into the religion of Islam, how do you guys feel about that? And then listen, if you're listening to me and you are Muslim, I am not trying to come off as, judging y'all or anything like that. I really want to know what the perspective is out there, because I have my opinion, but I'd love to kind of see what the comments say about this, because I think it's a little sensitive, right, Abraham? What do you think, man?
I mean, I would openly say that this is not right. Like, how you that's like, how that's like that. I would almost say that this is a garment that they wear as a religious belief, right?
Yeah.
That would be the equivalent to you telling us not to practice Holy Supper, not to practice baptism, right?
Hmm.
That the government should have no power over their religious beliefs,
Yeah.
none whatsoever. It should be separated, and that's how I feel. They should be allowed to wear whatever they want to wear, regardless of
Yeah.
I get it that the French have a thing and they associate a lot of Muslims with terrorism and all. I get all that, but you don't have not the French government, I guess, the current government. You don't have the authority, because what's going to be next? What's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
next?
I mean,
Well,
Consuelo says it there in the comments. He's like, well, if they're gonna go out after the way they stop their religious rules, who's to say they
right
won't stop our Christian practices?
after, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
right. And
Yeah.
if it's about dress, like, well, you gonna tell me don't put gel in my hair? I need my gel. My hair is nappy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do it.
It's an interesting topic. I really think it is. I think as Christians, we have to show a lot of mercy and grace to anybody out there in the world, even if they're not from our faith. And I think that's what's special. I think, Jesus Christ, he gives us a perfect example because he doesn't discriminate. He doesn't care if you are Muslim, if you're Jewish. He doesn't care where you're
No,
from.
he doesn't. He doesn't care.
He's here to just tell you about the good news that he has, right? He's here
That's
to
right.
tell us about the kingdom that's to come. And so I find that sometimes Christians, we get very caught up with this. Maybe we celebrate it when we really shouldn't, because I don't think that you're going to bring anybody to faith by force, right? That just doesn't happen, right? So, and honestly, it's a good conversation to have because this one can also touch base on what do we think about homosexuality and the rules out there.
Yeah.
We see a lot of crazy things happen in the world that are against our principles, against our values. How do we feel about it? And so, I don't know. I think we can have a good conversation about this because I'm not in one extreme to just allow everything, right? I'm not. That's not my extreme. But I'm also not here to tell somebody how to live their lives and force them to live a Christian life because
The thing
that
is, if
is
you force one group, eventually it rolls down to other groups. And
yeah,
like, Jesus didn't call us to do that. Like, Jesus
yeah,
called us to preach the gospel, and that's what he said: preach the gospel as the love of God, that Christ came, died for everybody, so that we could be saved, right?
yeah,
And then whoever accepts him and believes in him will be saved. That's what we're called to do. Everything else is not the church's business, and everything else in the government is not the government business. Like,
that's right.
there must. I mean, I guess before it used to be God and state. Now there's a full separation. I would prefer God be in the state, but if it's going to be a full
Mm,
separation, and
it's
let's
tough.
just leave it.
It's
Let's just
tough.
leave it.
Yeah. It's tough. Well, listen, we're about to get into our topic, but I had this one article. I mean, I forgot to mention about poor Justin Bieber. Look at what the Globe and Mail wrote when they announced his album. He's like, they're like, with his earnest pop gospel EP Freedom, Justin Bieber is equal parts born again and boring again. Like, that's rough too. Like, come
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
now. Like, this is
Well,
this is where the world
yeah.
gets me. It's like, yo, these guys are playing haters out there, man. Like that's another extreme that I just don't like. But anyway, we're not here to talk about JB. We're here to talk
I'll
about
listen to the
COVID.
full. I'll listen to the full album before Monday and see what's there. Well, I'll listen to a couple of songs and see if I don't get ticked off. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right, folks, listen, before we actually jump into the topic of the day, I want to let y'all know that on Monday, we have a guest speaker from New Jersey, the good old Jonathan Fernandez. You guys have most likely seen him, maybe met him because he's been one of our speakers at a youth camp before. If you
Yes,
were also had the blessing to travel with us to New Jersey that one year, part of our church, we went to their 9 to 9. So they also do a day in the house of the Lord. And we want to jump in with him and have a conversation about church culture and balancing the new generation, the old generation. Last week, we got into a heated argument in terms about clothing. You know, where do we accept it? Where do we fall on? And I think we're
that's
going to
right.
touch on some of those topics.
And
But today,
we got him because he gonna take my
yeah,
side. That's all.
I don't know, man.
That's
We'll
all we
see.
got.
We will
That's what we got.
see. But today,
I've never
guys,
seen him
man,
in no ripped
mm,
jeans, so we'll see.
mm, guys, the COVID-19 desert, man. How are y'all feeling? Because here in Ontario, we are yet again in a lockdown. Abraham, did you get the alert on your phone?
Yeah, I got that
Yeah,
alert. You
yeah,
know, the
yeah,
same
yeah.
as the Amber Alert. You're to stay home, but then there's so many exceptions. So this is the thing.
Ah,
You're to stay home, but the stores offer curbside pickup. How you gonna
yeah,
go
yeah,
pick
yeah.
it up? Like you got a drone, you can go pick it up. So I mean, it's a thing. I don't, I don't have enough. Like, I can't say, let's open up everything like everybody else. My one question would be, why is it taking so long to get everybody vaccinated when we only have 30 million people in this country?
Yeah.
So that's the one question, but it is a
Yeah.
desert.
Look, man, it's a desert because it feels never. And I've never been in a desert, but when I see a picture of a desert, it feels like never ending, right? It feels
Yeah.
like you're just in the middle of something where you just don't see the end. It's just all blurry, and you're just this feeling of, man, like I want to get out of here. Like I want to go to somewhere where there's different colors.
You,
Like I want to see
you
life
want
again.
you want to
You
go to
know,
Texas where they had a baseball game with
Man,
40,000
brother.
people.
Oh, absolutely. Now, look, I gotta say something to begin this topic because I'm gonna say it, and it might actually be the opposite of what happens. But look, it's super easy to come off as insensitive, with this topic, and
It
and I,
is.
and I'm not trying to be. Like I have my feelings about COVID-19, the lockdowns, and everything, and I'm sure you guys too in the comments. But the thing is, and especially if you part of social media, cancel culture is crazy. If you say one thing and it rubs off somebody, wrong, then it's gonna be, it's tough. It's tough. So I just want to come off and say as a disclaimer, look, these are some of my opinions, some of Abraham's opinions. It's some of our feelings. I'm no doctor, but I do try to do some research. I try to look at the data. I try to even look at it logically, and ultimately, I try to look at it
You
through
got
the
to make your own
Bible.
decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to make my own decision, but I try to, look at it through the Bible's perspective. And Abraham, if we may, like, I just want to go ahead and start because this isn't the first time a pandemic happens in the world, right? We've seen it before. There's a great article about the Spanish flu, which I can imagine anybody who lived through the Spanish flu, like, they probably experience, the feelings that we're feeling, but even worse because people were dying way more back then,
And they were
right?
not as connected. So, but you know what? Maybe it wasn't worse because they didn't know. Like, that's the thing. They didn't know what was happening in other places. So by the time they got the news, it was late. We get news as things happen, like live. Like
Yeah.
we're seeing all
Yeah.
kinds of things live. So it's different.
Yeah, so check it out. So troops were delivered. I mean, can you guys imagine the army literally being everywhere on the streets? That's what was happening back then. Quarantine was in force. Okay, people had to wear face masks every single day. Okay, there were measures in effect, and literally they had three waves over the course of 18 months. Okay, now they had 50 million people die of that virus. Okay, so it's way more crazy than
Yeah. Than
than what
COVID
we experienced
19.
in COVID-19. But I wanted to share this article here. Feel free to read it later. Y'all can see it there on your screens because it mentions Matthew 24:6-8, and that's what I want to read, and then we'll keep going here. And it says, when Jesus was warning his disciples that they would hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? And he says, see that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is
Yeah.
not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so it's the beginning of sorrows. So this isn't something that should come to a surprise for us. I like guys. We've been reading about this. We've been studying the word. If y'all are older through Sunday school, we knew these kind of things happen in the world, but maybe we hadn't experienced it, right? Because Abraham, we weren't part of
None of
World War
us. Like
II,
I
World War
wasn't.
One. We weren't part of Spanish flu, and so this is kind of it's shocking some of us, right? It really is making us feel like maybe before the pandemic we had better lives, right? And so where do we begin with this, man? Like,
I mean, we'll break it down. So let's break it down and start with worship, like worship life.
okay,
How
yeah,
has the pandemic affected your worship life, individual? And I want to see some comments, individually, or church wise, as we worship together. Because I mean, with the shutdown, I mean, thank God we have 15% of the population of the
yeah.
capacity of every church, which we can host a service for those churches that are prepared. But some churches had, like, I don't know if the People's Church has opened. I don't know if there's a couple of churches
No,
that I
I mean
know have not
majority.
opened.
Yeah,
But
majority right now with the 15% that's allowed, they've decided to close and just keep it virtual, right? And so when Abraham says
right,
worship, we're talking about your church experience,
church
right?
experience, yeah,
Like
together.
like how has it been now? It's been over a year, right? How have you been impacted, right? That's the question in terms of your church.
I'll tell you, for us who serve on the altar almost every Sunday on the worship team, it's it's difficult. It's different when you don't have anybody there. Like like Easter was amazing with people there. If it had been without people there, it wouldn't have been as good, I think, for me. So the impact of having people there who can help you worship, who can worship with you, like I
Yeah,
mean, the way I worship regardless. Like the way that
yeah,
I worship at church is half of what I do at home. If I'm in the shower, or if I'm running around, if I'm worship, like it's half. What I do at church is half, right?
mm,
So it doesn't matter if it's a camera there. Once the service starts, my focus is on worshiping God. But I know that it's an experience with people, and it's different. Different people see different things. Different people experience different things. So how has everybody been feeling regarding the impact of COVID in your local church, or
yeah.
in the way that you worship? Like, has it hurt you personally?
I'm struggling with who gets to decide what's essential. I mean, I studied in York U. I mean, I had my bachelor's degree in poli sci and criminology, so I got to learn a lot about our political systems. I know that here we are in a direct representative government, which basically means we get to vote for these elected
Right,
officials, right?
right.
Like, it's not a dictatorship. We don't got people just out there doing whatever they want. Like, we get to vote for these people. Does it mean that we get to vote for somebody who represents everything of us? No, but that's the system that we live in. It's not the greatest, but it works out usually. So I know, like, for example, somebody like Doug Ford, like, my question, it would really be like, how does he and his panel of people get to decide what is essential, right? Because over the past year and a half, up until this last lockdown, I've been able to go to Walmart and go to the video game section. I've been able
Right.
to you go to Walmart, you can find everything. You go to Costco, you can find everything. And not just can I find everything, but there's a whole bunch of people there. Like,
A
it,
lot
it
of
ain't
people.
true that like it's just a few of us there. Nah, like there's a whole bunch. And so I've
Yeah.
been, honestly, I've been bugged. I have been bugged because I had considered my whole life the church is this place that even when the power goes out, it needs to be open. That when people are going through hunger, it needs to be open because it's a place of
Yeah.
hope. It's a place where people go where when things are a mess, when I can't be at home, right? Because this lockdown kind of gives it as a given that everybody's safe at home. And that's not true. Right. And so the church is this place where I just have considered that it's so essential, and like for at the beginning of the pandemic to say, you know what, churches are closed, only 5 people can be in there,
Yeah.
and now, we're still at 15%. I'll speak from our church at our at Emmanuel. For those of you who have been, it's a rather, it's not huge, but it's a big place where I think we can fit, more than 2%, more than 15% there. I think
Yeah.
the better rule would have been try to fit people in there and have social distancing practices done. Don't give us a percentage. Why do you get to decide the percentage of people that get to go to the church? That's my
Well,
that's my take.
I mean, as a government, I don't think the government can do it. The government has to give a limit. The government has to put restrictions, right? That's It's a restriction. If you tell people, average it out and it's subjective, like the same thing would happen as what happens in Walmart. Like you'd have churches that are full of people.
Yeah, well, but
Like
that's what
so,
happens, right? You go to a Walmart, they say, well, they have to have social distancing, and Walmart gets to decide how many people, right? Like they can technically
no,
have,
they don't. So they have this square size. So I don't know if like when you go, you see this person counting at the front, and they
yeah,
have this number of maximum that like I've lined up at Walmart a
yeah.
lot during the pandemic.
But
But
get
the
who
maximum,
decides that number?
it's a
Based,
percentage. It's a percentage of square
yeah,
feet. The same way.
of
So
square,
it's a
yeah,
percentage of capacity. So what happens is that when you're inside the Walmart, there's nobody inside the Walmart checking to see if you like. People have grabbed potatoes and stuff on top of me. Excuse me, brother. Let me grab that sack of potatoes. And it's like, yo, I needed that one. I was touching. I was feeling it. Like, so people are in your face at the Walmart, right? And then they have all these arrows that nobody
Hey
really
man,
follows.
I still touch
Like,
up my avocados before I buy them. I'm sorry, y'all. Before I buy my oranges, I gotta feel them out, yo. If I can't buy a bad product either.
yeah, well, you gotta touch them. Like, there's some fruit that you gotta touch, and you gotta check them. But what I'm saying is that people come over you to check them, right?
Yeah,
People come over you to do this thing. So who in Walmart? I mean, we're talking about Walmart. We're gonna get a call from Walmart people. Who at the box stores? Who at the box stores is checking for? And I like this new measure now because now it's fair. Now they said you can only sell to people essential the same thing that the grocery store sell. But
yeah,
in speaking about the church, right? In speaking about the church, I believe that the church is essential, and I think that the church should stay open. I do believe that we need, as a church, to put in as many restrictions as possible and get people, moving the right way. Like we don't have the luxury that the big box stores have, because one bad inspection and we're closed down, like we're shut down, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
need to be vigilant. So everybody out there who's part of a church leadership,
Look,
and who gets to decide some stuff, you got to be vigilant.
yeah, look. This is kind of, I just feel because, most of what we do, most of what I do, honestly, it's locally in terms of the ministry, right? Maybe for some people, like you guys may be involved with some other more global or international, even more national things. But let's say, for example, Naum, like I'm involved in our church in terms of locally, like with the youth
Local,
there and
yeah.
like the young adults there, or like worship or tech stuff at there. And so I am a little bit maybe disconnected. Maybe some, kind of our higher ups in the Nazarene, like maybe they are more connected into, who gets to decide what happens in the churches. And so I don't know. I have felt some discomfort in that. I haven't felt happy a lot of times with the way it's been handled. And honestly, even today, like
Yeah.
I still feel like
But
I just don't know.
the reality is the pandemic is there. Like people are dying, people are in the ICUs, and and these
Okay.
statistics,
All
they
right.
use those statistics to determine
Okay.
what is like according to the Bible. According to the Bible, we have to follow the orders of the government leaders as long as those orders are not against what the Bible teaches. So
Okay.
I'm I'm not gonna say, oh well, they need to like if they say 50%, we'll do 50%. If they say 60%, we'll do 60%. But also at some point, the church has to recognize, wait a minute, this could potentially be dangerous, and we have to say it. Like, I mean, if you feel like our pastor said it today, if you have a symptom and you feel like you may be coming out with a cold or whatever, stay home. Don't come to the church.
All
Like,
right.
and that's just how it is.
We're
So that's
we're
in terms of
talking
a church experience.
we're talking about stats now. And man, I don't want to come out as a conspiracy theorist, y'all, but we got to talk about it because look, when we're talking about stats, we know that y'all got a 99% chance of beating this thing, right? Like that's it, right? You got a high chance of beating this virus. Now, Abraham, I don't know if you've seen this number. But how much of a percentage do you think? And we'll talk about it in Toronto, right? Because they keep saying that one of our main problems is that the ICU beds are being filled up.
That's
Which,
what
by
they're
the way,
saying.
as a side note, I don't understand why in Canada we weren't able to build a hospital in a week and get more beds. I'm just saying other countries did it. I don't know how the dynamics of that is, but we haven't done anything like that. We've literally just locked down and tried to
Yeah.
remain with the same people. Now, my point is, what do you think is the percentage of people in the ICU that are COVID related in Toronto? Just throw me a number.
I don't know. The ICU is full because I mean the ICU could be full because the ICU. How many beds are in a typical ICU? Like somebody who works in a hospital will tell how many beds. What,
Maybe
20 beds? 20 beds? 10 beds?
somebody in in the health departments there can let us know. But check this out. Because this is the number that I had been looking at recently, and it shocked me, y'all. It shocked me. Again, I'm no doctor, but I'm just looking at the data and trying to make decisions for myself here. And it says, look, back in July 2020, and there's no other stats here. And so basically, what you'll see is at the bottom, you see COVID patients, so the percentage, and at the top, you see the ICU occupancy. Let's say in that vertical bar, number one means that
Yeah, I got it.
you've
Yeah.
reached full capacity. Okay, so right now, as is, it looks like 37%, and we're looking at Toronto. This is specific to Toronto.
Right.
37% of our ICU beds are filled with COVID. Okay. And so I got to be honest, I thought that number would be higher, and when I look at the kind of the stats all over around, the highest one that you see, I mean, and there is a high one, which is York, is 58% of the ICU is COVID departments, right? It's COVID people. But other than that, the numbers are actually relatively, around the 30s, if not below that, in terms of the bigger districts like Toronto and Peel. So all I'm saying is that, hold on. So our ICU beds are filling up, but it's not like it's 100%, COVID here. In fact, the
But they,
majority is less than 40%.
okay, I get it. But the thing is that if they're full, and even if it's not COVID, it's still full. And because there's a pandemic, because they're not saying that they're full with COVID. I don't think they've said that. They've said that they're full. They're not saying that they're full with COVID. But even if it's not COVID, if somebody gets COVID, the chances of landing in the ICU apparently with this variant is higher. And so they're trying to not get to the point where it's 100%. Because if you get to 100% and somebody gets a heart attack, they're gonna die because
Yeah.
they didn't have a bed, right? So they got to kick a COVID patient out or something. And like there's a high chance, like a lot of people die of heart disease, heart attack, and stroke every year
Yeah.
because. So now if we don't have the beds to put them in, like that's a problem.
Okay, but now this is my last thing that I'll say in terms of the stats, because the reason why this kind of shocks me a bit is because when you actually take a look at, and I'll show it right here, the percentage of people that actually end up in the ICU when you actually get COVID, it is 0.8% of people. Okay. So 0.8% of people actually end up in the ICU in terms of, if you've gotten COVID, right? Now, I see a question coming in here saying basically, is my point being don't trust the government officials and imply that things aren't that bad and therefore everybody relax and not be vigilant? No, that is not my point. But I have to say that, look, nobody trains for this kind of stuff. Nobody, like Doug Ford, he didn't come in and he didn't get the training. In fact, I think that Doug Ford is doing a better job than the previous person would have done. That was the liberal girl. I don't want to say her name or anything like that. I think he's doing a better
You
job.
already
But
said
but
it.
listen, but listen, listen,
You
listen, listen,
already
listen.
said it.
Look, last week, Doug Ford on the April 1st lockdown, he had the opportunity to lock everything down already, right? He had the opportunity to close down the malls. A week later, when the malls are open, he was upset with everybody saying, hey guys, why are you all still going to the mall? And it's like, well, the malls are open. If the malls weren't closed, then we wouldn't go. And so
Yeah, so they go.
all I'm saying is that there seems to be a disconnect sometimes with the way that they're handling this. That's my point.
And there's gonna be, like, I mean, there's always gonna be um disconnection, like I mean you're saying how come other countries have reopened, and that was my question. How come we haven't vaccinated? That's the only question that I have. Like, we should have already vaccinated. Like, I mean, what happened to the billions of dollars or millions of dollars that they paid in vaccines? Like, where are the vaccines? So I get maybe somewhere, like, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Maybe somewhere in those vaccine contracts, it says that the suppliers have to supply the U.S. first before they supply any other country, because the U.S. did 100 million people in 100 days. Right, that's a
Yeah.
lot. Like that's a lot more people than the whole population of
Yeah.
Canada. So maybe there's something in there that where. So now the Trudeau government is partnering with a pharmaceutical company to create this huge plant for vaccinations, vaccine manufacturing plant
Yeah.
in Toronto. So that's that, and
I'm
it's
I'm
going to be
here. I'm
about
here to play.
$1 billion. So
I'm here to play devil's advocate a little bit, because now that we're talking about the vaccines, and I know we got these other topics to hit in terms of the COVID-19, but like, how do we feel about it? Because I gotta be honest. I see people from both sides of the spectrum, right? And look, no matter whether you are a pro-vaccine or anti-vax, like, I believe that if you are in any of those extremes, like real extremes, you're probably being fed by the same people around your mindset. So that's why I'm trying to just shed light on the different options
and
out
somebody
there,
already said no.
right?
Stephanie already said no,
Right.
no. She's not
So
gonna. Stephanie,
look,
you work in. I know Stephanie. She works in the healthcare field. Like I think she works in a dental office. So don't you have to get the vaccine, Stephanie? Like doesn't everybody who's in the healthcare field must get the vaccine?
no,
Like I
no,
would like
no, no,
to
no,
know.
no. You don't.
It's
You're not
a choice. It's
forced.
still
You're
a
not
choice.
forced. No, no. It's still a choice. So now look, there are a lot of pro-vaccine people that they say, and look, we can talk about sources afterwards, and they basically say that everybody should get the vaccine, and if you haven't gotten the vaccine, then you shouldn't be allowed to get back into society and do other things that people with the vaccine have. So that is where I get a little bit uneasy, right? Because I could be like, yo, the vaccine could be great, but you know what? I'm young. I know that I can most likely fight it off. And maybe, for example, in my case, in Brenda's case, we don't have any kids yet or anything like that. But maybe if we were to try, like, in the past, vaccines are kind of related to causing that. Maybe the risk is extremely low, but it should be my decision to, not take it, right? And
Well,
it shouldn't
every
impact my
like
freedom in
I
society.
saw this thing today where this lady was saying, I
And
think
I'm
in the
not an
United Nations or
anti-vaxxer. I'm
something.
just trying to play the devil's advocate.
They were saying that the vaccine is still called experimental because it's for a reason, right? There's not enough information, Stephanie said, for the vaccine. There's not enough information for the vaccine. But like enough people have been vaccinated
Yes.
and not died for somebody to
Yes.
say, for somebody like me to say, I'll take, like, I will, as soon as the Johnson one comes to Canada, that's the one I'm going to take. It's one shot. It doesn't need to be frozen. Like, why does the vaccine?
I already told you. Apparently,
Like,
that one uses abortion cells or something. I don't know. The Catholic Church came against that one. I don't know.
I don't know what
It's
the
wild,
Catholic
man.
Church is saying. If it uses stem cells, and then that's good, regenerates, right? So whatever. But what I'm saying is, there's enough people vaccinated so that you don't have to, worry about it. The Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna ones, I think they have to freeze
Yeah.
to minus 70 degrees and all that stuff. I'm not messing with no cold. My stuff is hot. I
Look,
like
look,
the
look,
heat.
look.
So
Abraham,
the Johnson Johnson one
yeah.
is the one I'm taking.
I think it's good for us to have this conversation because, guys, I think we're talking from the point of view of a typical, just resident.
Citizen, a
Yeah,
regular
like
citizen.
this is this is a concern. And so, if maybe you feel like we're promoting to not get the vaccine, then that's not what we're doing. Like, I'm just trying to say, hey, these are the concerns that are being laid out. Now,
I
here,
think people
what
should
are the
get it.
advantages? Like, the advantages of getting the vaccine is, well, you don't have to fight this, and you know for
Like,
certain
okay,
that you have.
when you have a kid and you take them to the pediatrician, right? The first 8 days, like they
Yeah.
give you this vaccination card, and all through the years they keep telling you
Yeah,
they
yeah.
need this one, they need that one, and you just like you don't even know. Like you don't even know what they're injecting into your kid, and they just say, this one's gonna hurt, this one's gonna give them a little bit fever. This I got a tetanus shot like a couple of years ago because I went for my yearly physical. They say, oh, you're telling us it's out of date. Do you want to get it? I said, can I get it right here? She said, yeah. So I just got it, and then I got like a little bump for a couple of days. And that's it. So now this vaccine that they're saying is COVID. Like in the Dominican, they've injected a whole bunch of people, and we don't know what they're injecting them with. And people are just relaxed. Some people don't have any masks. So there's enough information. I wouldn't tell anybody for the vaccine. I mean, Suriel is worried. She's saying, my parents are worried about the vaccine and the side effects.
Yeah.
Like, guys, listen, we have to pray. You have to pray
Yes.
and let the Lord guide you to what you're going to do with this vaccine, right? Right now, I feel like the Johnson & Johnson one is safe. I will take that one. But I would pray. If it's optional, I don't have to take it, I wouldn't take it. Like if they tell me you don't have to get vaccinated, I wouldn't take it. But if they tell me if you get vaccinated, you could travel right now to a sun destination, I'd be like, here, let's go. Put it on, like, done right away. Let's just get it done. right?
Look,
And it all depends. Like, once you get vaccinated, you get this proof of vaccination. This your vaccine, and then the U.S. is going to have vaccination passport. Canada will probably have those too. So we're getting to that point where people will have to get vaccinated. If it's a must or not, I don't know. But if we can get us back to normal, like if we can get us back to full church, if it can get us back to vacation, that's all I need. Like all I need is church and vacations. I don't need anything
all I
else.
need is Jesus. That's all
That's
I
all.
need. I
That's
mean,
all I
like I
need.
don't need to. I mean, okay, look. It's a very tough, topic. I like guys. We gotta come to the reality that you probably shouldn't be taking the vaccine or not taking it based off of random videos that say like this. Like honestly, the honest truth, like you have to come to more of a I don't know. I think you have to go out there and read about it. Like I'm also not for people just coming out and saying don't take the vaccine because you'll die if this happens, and if you take the vaccine, like this happened to this one person where all their skin kind of fell off, and it's just like that like that's an extreme. And then there's that like I'm just scared of extremes. That's all. I'm not necessarily, maybe the word scared isn't the right word. Maybe I'm just worried
So
because again, I don't think there's enough data out there to say which way this vaccine is going to go.
So there's an interesting question there in the chat. Carlos saying, have they said definitively that the current vaccines will prevent COVID? No, and the answer is right, is no, they haven't said that. But the CDC in the US has said that if you get vaccinated, fully vaccinated, like your 2 shots, right, you don't need a mask and you don't need social distance anymore. Openly, they've said that, right? So
dude,
that's
dude, dude.
so
The whole mask, guys. I was at a store this past weekend, right? I had my mask on. I was talking to a rep, and super cool, great conversation. I was asking about questions about a table, and the guy helped me out. He told me, yeah, it's made of this wood and everything like that. I was like, cool, cool, cool. And so when I went to go talk to Brenda, I was getting a little bit hot, so I put my mask a little bit down, it wasn't covering my nose anymore. And so I was just having a quick conversation with Brenda, and I could hear from like the other eyes, the other side of the store, it was like, psst, 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 sir. And then I looked back and he's like, the mask. And so I literally went like this, like right back, and I was like, I gotta be honest, guys. I didn't like it.
well, that's
I
the
was a little
policy.
bit bugged. I
That's the
was like,
policy.
I know it's the policy, but like I didn't put it down. My mouth was still covered, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like it's tough for me not to see it as something as wild and crazy. And I don't think anybody should be calling me either a person who's breaking the rules or doing all these things,
No,
because it's that's why
like I
I'm a
mean, the
little bit
mask,
afraid of these
the
extremes.
way that like I'm not gonna say that I'm an extremist, but I'm very careful. So the way people use the mask is even like irrational. Like people would have a mask on, put it down here to drive, and all the COVID that was here like gets on the mask, and then they put it back on. So I mean, people go to gas stations and they take off the mask while they're pumping gas. Like it's all a thing. So like what we're trying to do is follow the measures that the experts are saying that we need to do about COVID-19. And you know what? I've been following them, and I haven't got,
Yeah,
to my knowledge, I haven't gotten COVID-19. And I'm saying to my knowledge because maybe I could have gotten it and not even known it, and it just came and went, right?
yeah.
But I drink that
Look,
the portion that I call the cure for the vaccine with garlic and onions or whatever.
yeah.
I
Oh
drink
Lord.
2 or 3 months,
Look,
and
look, look.
that's it.
Look, bro. Another thing that it's been a little bit odd, and again, I don't have all the data on this, and I know I'm playing a lot of the devil's advocate role here, kind of going against it. But apparently the vaccine only lasts 6 months. From what the most effective one, I think the Pfizer one can only last 6 months of effectiveness. And so that one for me was even crazier because it's like, hold on, so 6 months from now, everybody that's getting the vaccine, it's like it's no longer effective to it, like, and so I question the end in all this. Like I don't see the end in all this. Like this latest lockdown, it messed with me, and I'll tell you why, because this is why
It's
I'm
just
a
that
little,
people are tired.
I'm,
People are
I'm a little
tired.
iffy. I'm a little iffy with the government's modeling. In late March, they announced that the churches were going to actually open to more people. In
30%,
late
yeah.
in late March, they announced that barbershops were going to open. They announced that
Everything.
small, because their modeling, their modeling showed them that things are. But but I guess their modeling was wrong. And so they had to kind of shut down. And I know they have sometimes like a variety of what can happen, what ifs. You can't really tell the future with these things. But I don't know. This is
But I
why
mean,
I get a little bit iffy with it.
we don't know everything. Like, and I would say bring Teresa time. Like, we have a whole bunch of comments there. It's like the flu shot, the vaccine reduces your chances of getting sick and dying. I just want to travel. I just want to get out of here for a little bit and, go to vaccine. Like, that finance minister, he said, you know what, I'm done. I'm leaving. I think he went to Curacao or Aruba, one of those places. He got fired. So I just want to travel for, just to have a good time of vacation. Really, the COVID, like, I wasn't that social anyways. And I think we had a conversation about this. I wasn't that social anyways before. So now, and I'm working from home, which means, I'm still getting paid. Thank God for that. I'm sorry for those of you that are not, but I'm working from home. So
We
I
can
would be
get,
fine. Like, I would be fine with I was a homebody anyways, but I feel sorry for the people that need to go out all the time and need to be doing
yeah,
all this
yeah,
stuff. I feel sorry for them. But we have like 7 minutes. We got to talk about that pastor in Alberta and that video that we posted during the weekend. The pastor kicked out the police and he said, "Get out. This is a holy place. Get out. Don't put you."
yeah.
And the way that he was talking, like, he was really upset. He was mad. So, I mean, what do people think? Like, should a pastor? I don't know if you can play the video, but should have the pastor reacted this way? Um, that that it was all in the news and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
I just want to bring this one up because he was screaming in the video, like he was screaming in the video. He was shouting, and all that other stuff. So
yeah, this was a wild video. I think a lot of prominent like evangelists, a lot of people from the faith commented on this. I think I think from at least the people that I follow, and again, it could be a small group of it, but from what I've seen, it's been an overwhelming positive review of what that pastor did, of what that leader did, and so they are kind of happy with seeing the church kind of say to the government, you shouldn't be able to rule over us inside here. And so I've seen the video multiple times, and I've with the conversations I've had with people, some people disagree with the words the pastor was using.
yeah,
Obviously, you could kind of see that from his kind of background, European kind of descent, his accent, he may have experiences that you and I have never experienced, and so
he is
maybe some of
Polish.
the
He's Polish, so
yeah, and
he
so some
called
of the
them
things that
Nazis and all that.
he was calling them Nazis. Now look, I gotta be honest, man. When I saw the video and the guy was yelling at them, it took him a while to get out of the church. But at the same time, the police really didn't react in a negative way either. Like they weren't there beating people up and they weren't there, smacking
No,
people around and stuff like that. So honestly, it's I
so
think
this
it's
is this is what threw me off in the story, and I don't know if it's true or not. Is that he has gotten already several COVID fines, so the police probably went there to check if they were violating, especially during Easter, if they were violating any of the protocols, because he already had on file a couple of fines
yeah,
for opening the church to too many people. Now, if that's the case, like, the police are not wrong to show up. Like, but why 20, what they said, 20 policemen, 6 cruisers? Like, why are you gonna send 2 people? Send
yeah.
2 people in uniform that can be recognized, and you see, oh no, we're just here to check and whatever. And I don't think he would have reacted that way. I think he reacted that way because he felt that they were going to shut him down for having the
The
services.
you know
So,
the crazy thing was also like you're really gonna do this on Easter weekend, like you're really gonna do it on
well, the
that
police knew that church was going to be packed, right?
you know
That's so they said, well, if this guy violated the protocol outside of Easter, what's he going to do during Easter, right?
yeah.
So let's see what happens. I mean, I want things to get back to normal,
Look,
because I
this is
miss a lot of the stuff.
and this is the difficult question I think that the church is trying to, deal with, especially leaders. Like maybe you don't see it as much because we have all these great, people of faith that they're just saying, you know what? God can move through the screen. God, there's nothing impossible with God. And it's true. We've seen it. There's been a lot of, even the Bendito show, is probably a consequence, a result out of from the pandemic. There's a lot
Yeah,
of things that God is doing that we can't
that's
see in the
right. Yeah.
background. And so we have to continue believing and working that God can use us, and we're still the church even outside of those walls. But we have grown in the church. A lot of us
Yeah,
have
we hunger
come
for the church.
from that, from that building, and it's not for nothing that even in the word it says, "Better is one day in the house of the Lord," and it's speaking of the building. It's speaking of the actual place. And so, I got to be honest,
And
like,
I know
we're
what the thing is. Nothing. Okay, let for a second, hypothetically, like nothing replaces the church. Nothing replaces the service. So, for example, I used to go to the movies a lot. My wife, date night would be dinner on a movie most times, right?
yeah,
I could do without that. Not without my wife, but without the movies. Like I could do without the movies, right? I could do without the movies. I could do without the gym for sure. I could do without the gym. I could do without my kids' soccer, karate, basketball, music, all in the same week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
hmm
Friday. I could do without that. Some people
yeah,
still
yeah,
do it. I know they might miss it, but I could do without that. But there's nothing that can replace the church. It's not
mm.
that I could do without, but okay, what do I do instead of? Right? What do I do? Is like virtual services for me don't cut it. Like
Yeah.
I need the church because, as you said, like I grew up in the church. The church is what I know. Like
Can can it be? And this could be a prelude to Monday, but can it be? This is exactly what the church needed to shake it, to really see who are the real ones in this and who aren't. Because I got to be honest, I think from the beginning, I mean, a lot of people have been saying that, but I'm a believer of that, man. Like, I think that, of course, it's true. When we congregate, when we're at 9 to 9 in person,
yeah,
fire, fire. Like, I love it. There's nothing like worshiping with our brothers and
there's nothing
sisters.
like that.
But there's also such a hypocrisy sometimes, from people who go to these type of
Mm-hmm.
events, who go to church, and then a week later you find them just in their sin and bathing in their sin, and they're just out there promoting their sin. And so here's this one guy who was apparently feeling the Holy Spirit over the weekend, and now on Monday he's sinning out there in the world and proclaiming that sin. And so I feel that there is a shaking, happening. Like, I feel like God is still at work even during this time. And so,
Yeah, listen, the weeds and the wheat have to grow together. God is going to sift. So maybe this is a sifting of the wheat, right? You know how they sift the wheat? They blow on it with a big fan, and then the light stuff, which is all the garbage,
yeah,
comes up, and then they swipe it. So maybe
yeah.
God is sifting,
Look,
and to
yeah,
see who's real and who's not. But people are going to do that. Like people are going to do that. People are going to live secret lives, anyways. That's
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
But
don't know what the whole point is of the pandemic, but we'll find out
and
soon.
look, I think, Abraham, what you and I talk about always is having a personal relationship with Jesus, reading your
You have
Bible,
to.
studying it,
You
come to
have
your
to.
own conclusions with everything about it. But the thing is, if you're out here just commenting garbage, if you're out here just commenting things, and you don't have that foundation in you, then it's weak. Right? Because I don't appreciate people, but look, I really like what Marcos is saying here, because in a way, then, this guy from Alberta, is he kind of tainting the testimony of his church? Like, I also saw that, like, on social media, a lot of people were like, well, if this church was
Yeah, because
following the regulations, and you see, so that's the other
he
extreme of
wasn't
it,
following the
where
regulation.
there's churches that just say, don't take the vaccine, it has the chip in it, it has the mark of the beast, and it's like, come on, y'all, like, that's not what the
Listen,
Bible
I,
says.
I think I think John
That's
MacArthur, Dr. John MacArthur of Grace Bible Chapel, I think his name is, the church is in California. He never closed his church, and he got $10,000 fines every week. And I don't know if they paid it or they went to court or whatever, but they were going to lock him up. And he said, I would gladly, because he was fully convicted that the government can't tell him not to close his church. And I get that perspective, but I believe that I don't know how God would feel about that. I don't know how
how,
God would
yeah,
feel about,
and that's a
like,
tough question. Like,
you're
how do we
disobeying
tackle
the
it?
government. You're disobeying
Yeah,
the government on
that's a good one.
something that is not against the Bible, right? So I don't know. That's gonna be another conversation. I think this
We're,
this topic is so good.
Yeah, man. I know we're wrapping up here, but I think, and I mention this always, guys, but grace and mercy, like, with this, because again, I believe, I truly, like, I feel convicted that God is doing something amazing. Either maybe it's behind the scenes, but with real questions. Yo, guys, every single Wednesday night, there's a Zoom youth group meeting at our church, right? It is there's less people tuned into the virtual Zoom than there were when we had pizza at church, ping pong at church,
Yeah.
and then we had a little bit of a class at church. Sure, maybe it's more fun together, and maybe people don't feel that same excitement to it. But man, what we're doing most of the time is Bible studies, praying. People don't like to do that virtually. They don't like to do that. And so for me,
People
it's like
don't like to do that in person either.
I see that God is sifting and working. You know what? You see the John MacArthur's, they don't want to close their church. You know, I'm not here to judge them. I'm not here to convict them. That's something that the Holy Spirit does. And so I try to show grace and mercy to those people. For
Yeah.
anybody who's gotten the vaccine, that's awesome. If you don't want to take the vaccine, maybe you should do some more research. Maybe we should all be taking the vaccine right now. Right. And so I just want people
If
to have some more grace and mercy towards these topics. Let's talk. Let's help each other out. You know, I like it that people are saying, yeah, you know what though? The vaccine, if there aren't no crazy side effects for us, it's really just here to help us. So
if the vaccine is not gonna make me praise God in sensual way and it's allow me to travel, let me get the vaccine. Like I will get the vaccine. I saw Carlos say, you know, if it's, they're gonna let me go to the DR, I'll take I'll take the vaccine, like for
yeah,
sure. And you know, go somewhere and just get back to normal. Because you know what hurts a lot too is a lot of people, all the people that have died, that hurts a lot. And then all the people that have lost their job and can't support their family. Like I saw this article, and we don't have time to talk about it, where a father of two single father was being evicted from his apartment building, and he had the money. He was
yeah,
just late. When he went to get the money, the police were there. They kicked him out and all that. Like I saw that story, and it's a problem. It's a problem. So for all those people that for all those people that have suffered that much, like I would trade the benefits that I have reaped during the pandemic back just for all those, because I've been one of the
yeah,
lucky
yeah,
ones that have reaped lots of benefits during the pandemic. But I would trade all that, and by benefit I mean being able to spend a lot of time with my family at home, working from home without a problem, and just that to me that's just amazing. But I would trade that because I could spend time with my kids under normal circumstances. I just spend a lot more now, but I would trade that to go back and have all those people be restored and get their jobs back and get the economy moving. Like let's do something. And you
yeah.
know what? It's just Canada that's so far behind. The Masters is happening. Like they're playing basketball games, they're playing hockey games, they're playing baseball. In the Dominican, they're doing everything. Like all the frituras in the corners are open. They're frying buffet and chicharrón and all that stuff. And some fritos. Like how is it
Yeah,
possible?
man.
The
That's
Dominican is
that's
open.
why that's why it's good to have these conversations, because you know what, it's true. Like I'm not
Uh,
here to blame Doug Ford. I'm not here to blame anybody, but you know what? Maybe we got to hold them a little bit accountable. But maybe we don't only have to hold them accountable. We have to hold everybody accountable. The people that are reckless out there and doing the crazy things and not following the rules. So I think it's good to just be educated, to have these conversations. I think it's edifying. And listen, we have so much more to talk about. We wanted to get to about how work has been impacted by COVID, our home lives, our social lives. But
it's a
the
lot.
show is keeping. We're back next week, right? So we're just gonna continue the conversation then.
Yeah. So they just started the thread. Suriel said I want to hug my friends. Brenda said I want to see my grandma. Like who else? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? We gotta go next week, Monday. Tune in. This church culture thing
Mm,
is gonna be awesome. I got a surprise for you guys on Monday. Apart from the guest speaker that we have, I'm gonna do something special for the church culture edition. So tune in on Monday. Don't share the link. Tell people to subscribe. Join us for Monday church culture.
bro.
We're gonna talk about these ripped jeans
Mm,
and all these things that people are preachers with ripped jeans. Like,
yeah.
how far are we gonna go? How far we?
Rip them, bro. You gotta
You
rip
know,
some of yours, man. Yeah, y'all gotta rip it.
I'm not ripping my jeans. My
Listen,
jeans cost money.
look,
Like, why would I rip my jeans?
we got to keep
I'm not.
talking about this COVID stuff, man. I got to have a shout out because look up, Brenda's grandma has been literally in one room because of COVID. Like, man, we
That's
gotta
crazy,
talk
bro.
back about this again. I think next week, maybe next Thursday, we give it
We'll
another
continue with
shout.
COVID. Yeah. Depends on what
But
happens. Maybe everybody's vaccinated and we're open, or at least something
hey, man,
happens.
maybe Jesus
You
comes
know.
back before that, and we're in heaven. And I think that's what we got to be ready for. That's what I'm looking for. Like, sure, the vaccine I'll probably get eventually, but what I really want is I want to go to heaven, man.
Joshua wants to see me in ripped jeans. I mean, I don't know. I tried on a slim fit once. and it wasn't comfortable. That's for skinny people.
All right,
I'm
y'all.
not gonna work on that.
Much love, Abraham, bro. Next week we gotta have people, call in. I know some people wanted to yell at us today.
Yeah, we got up.
Yeah.
This is the Bendito show.
Yep.